Get your penguins out then. Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of marillion and fish. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello and welcome to Planet Marzipan. I'm Mezza, here with him.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, clearly. Put my teeth back in. I'm here with my good friend
Craig, whose teeth is still in.
Yeah. And we have guests. We have returning guests in Stuart Clyde.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here.
Stuart, welcome back.
Thank you.
Mikey Kay.
Hi, guys. We're still here.
We're still here, yeah.
Still here.
Later that same evening, we are here to talk about the third single from Fish's Internal Exile album.
Did you say third single?
No. The amazing Something in the Air. This is going to be a contentious one, folks. Something in the Air was released on the 22nd of June, 1992.
Which was a good 6 months after the last single.
Yeah, and a good 9 months or 8 months after the album, wasn't it? So, yeah, a long time later.
If I remember right, and this is digging deep into the
that's his disclaimer, folks, for getting it wrong. But yeah,
for fucking up.
If I remember right,
wasn't it put? It was put back a couple of times because wasn't it potentially banned by the BBC because in '92 we're in the middle of a general election and it was classed as a protest song, so it was like potentially banned from being played on the radio. Back when these things mattered.
You're right. It didn't get a lot of airplay because of that, because the BBC doing their impartial thing, it was a bit too, wave your banners, let's have a revolution. I mean, people put out worse in the 80s and got away with it for a little while.
Mind you, what's quite funny, because when I pulled out me ice cream trays, ice cube trays, one thing that I completely forgot that I had, and it's been hidden away for all these years, is a postcard for the release of the single, which was sent from London in '92, which actually had the Fish on Tour in '92, and it was a promo for the release of the single, and had tour dates on of June, Sheffield City Hall, and July gigs and August gigs. And the one thing that's not on there, because it was before this, was we saw him in London at Hammersmith Odeon. He came and played the Riverside. It was only about a week or so later, and I think that possibly was the only time that we actually saw him play Something in the Air live, because he only did it
possibly
round about that time.
Did he have a fight with the record company to get another single out? Was that the reason why it was so late?
Yeah, because I think they were talking about potentially Lucky being a single. And when they were first talking about this, he had all wild ideas about formats, because I'm positive there was going to be a little diorama. Back in the day, like when Phil Collins and stuff, where you had, he did his like musical carousel box set thing for, but all that changed with him out, because he planned it was still going to be penguins, but it was going to be some like little diorama of like penguins on a stage and stuff. I just remember something from that talk, but it was going to be too cardboard, too expensive to do, and that's why we ended up with ice cube trays.
Another one of Fisher's Baldric style cunning
plans. Cunning plan.
Bless him. He does try, or he did try.
It's worth saying it's a cover of a Thunderclap Newman song from 1969 then, isn't it, really? And a bit of a foretaste for what was coming next in Songs from the Mirror.
So instead of Thunderclap Newman, what have you got, like Lightning Rod Dick?
You went there.
Dear me.
That's what Craig's known as on a Saturday night.
Till Sunday morning, then it all
Yeah.
goes away.
Till the little blue pill wears off, and then
No, John, it's called a Tic Tac.
aye, all right, call it
Fresh mint.
You'll make Faye blush.
what? Yeah, he's got
Nothing
no
can
shame.
make Faye blush. I'll
Got
tell
no
you that for now.
shame. Let's talk about the music. Something in the Air, the cover version. Then, Mikey, what do you make of it?
Well, as it stands, I really, really like it. The thing for me was when the album came out, I bought the vinyl and the CD. And I was buying CDs at this point, but didn't have a CD player. So I had to go and listen to it at Craig's because the vinyl didn't have Something in the Air on.
Sorry, you talk about the vinyl of the album. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, yes, the vinyl of the album didn't have Something in the Air on it.
No.
So when I was playing the album, didn't hear it. Had to go to Craig's house, listen to Something in the Air. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I knew the Thunderclap Newman version anyway from parents. And while it's not 100% faithful, it's been very stamped with a big fish sticker. You know, he's done a bloody rip-roaring job of it. And I think it's amazing. But I think
very
it should have been
bagpipey.
parked.
Yeah, that's the bit.
I
That's
love
why
that. I love that. Love it. Love it to bits. But I think it should have been parked. Obviously, we didn't know what was coming, and probably neither did Fish. But had that been held back and used for his songs from the Mirror album, my God, that would have done something else as well. Because I think if this had been a lead single for that, my God, I think that would have sold the album in bucket loads. I really do wish that Lucky had been the third single rather than this. But as a standalone song, as a cover version, love it to bits. I think it's brilliant, and all the better for the bagpipes.
Stuart, what do you make of it?
I think the best word to use is meh.
I think that exhale you did before you said it would have done the same job, yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't really move me, but I've got to keep reminding myself, as I did in the previous podcast, that it's important to remember not to look back at that stuff through the lens of today. You know, you need to look back through the lens of 1991, 1992, when it was released. It uses that looped drum sample that everyone was using at the time. So
it's like a dub beat from the late 80s, early 90s thing.
Totally. I mean, but look who the contemporaries were at the time. You had EMF going around, Jesus Jones, Pop Will Eat Itself, The Prodigy. How many times have they featured in the top 10 that we've been speaking about? This marriage of electronic dance music with rock. Some people pulled it off really, really well. And then there was Fish. So it sounds to me as if it was an experiment with that genre. You know, let's have a go at this. Everybody else is doing that kind of looped drum sample and putting a song over it. It's okay. You know, it's had some interesting key changes and changes and experiments and instrumentation rather, and bagpipes, of course. But was it really necessary? Does it fit on the album? No, I don't think.
No.
But we've mentioned Songs from the Mirror. Would it have fitted in Songs from the Mirror? No.
Do you not think?
Not in that style. Not in that style.
Yeah, I think it would. I think. I mean, I can't agree that it doesn't fit on Internal Exile, because Internal Exile's all over the fucking shop. So,
like we've mentioned,
put
it's
anything
on
there. Yeah.
It's a collection of boys' own
story, is it?
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it doesn't fit what he says the album is. Essentially, it's an album bonus track, a CD bonus track, which has been put out as a single. You know, cunning plan or not, it didn't work.
No, it didn't sound like a fully committed experiment. I mean, I'm all for experimenting with things, but it just sounded a wee bit like, well, everybody's doing this thing, so let's have a go at doing that thing because everybody else is doing it. I don't think it's anywhere near as strong a cover as just about everything else on Songs from the Mirror.
Right.
Which is why I say, would it have fitted in Strong from the Mirror? No, I don't think so, because in my estimation, it would have been the poor cousin to the absolute phenomenal songs
I'll
on
just
Songs from the Mirror.
remind you of Jeepster on Songs from the Mirror.
Don't diss Jeepster. It's amazing.
Sorry. No.
It's just a bit of fun. I see it as like Mikey said, it's a bit of a bonus track at the end of Internal Exile, and I thought it was good fun when he did do it live. You know, it was
You're
just
back on Something in the Air now, aren't you?
yes.
Yeah.
But when do you get a bonus extra fun track released as a third single? I think that's where the mistake was made, in my opinion, anyway.
I think Mikey's right, though. Lucky should have been the third single.
Yeah.
I quite like Something in the Air. I mean, the middle eight's a bit desperate, but the rest of it's all right. I think there's some remixes on the CD singles.
Yeah.
But one of them is the Teddy Bear mix, which it's got some strange clips from. Are they from a movie? There's a woman saying that gets my heart pumping, and she just did this like speaking clips from some. I don't know whether from something.
No, I'm not sure. I mean that's on the 12-inch version and one of the CD singles as well.
The best mix is the Christopher Robin mix, which has
it's
no
instrumental.
relation. Absolutely bears no relation to the song at all, apart from it's got the title Something in the Air. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's nothing like Fish.
It's off its baps.
Yeah, I loved it. I had it on about an hour ago. It's amazing. So yeah, if you can find it online, the Christopher Robin mix is highly recommended by me. The B-sides across the two CD singles, there were 3 live tracks. I'm going to mention this one first because I mentioned it in the last pod and Stuart jumped on me. So there's a live version of Dear Friend from Hamburg in 1991. Stuart, you a bit partial to Dear Friend?
I am. This feels like an old friend to me when I hear the album. I listen to this and I'm instantly transported back to that era. And I've actually got a whole new appreciation of that song now that I'm of an age where you would look back with that nostalgia. Yeah. And what's bonkers is I'm 25 years older now than Fish was at the time when he wrote it. So I'm trying to get my head around how is he looking so far back but not being so far forward. But it's I love that sentimental look back, things like, you know, is your Norton still running, is the old man still alive? That's lovely. It's not the in-depth poetic lyric that he's known for, but it's still so heartfelt. I absolutely love it, and it's the nostalgia and looking back as an older guy, and now I am an older guy looking back. That's exactly the kind of conversation that I would have with a pal that I'd not seen for 35 years.
Okay.
I also really like the hat tips to previous lyrics of his. You know, the boy in my place at the end of the bar. Thought that was a lovely wee hat tip, and give my regards to Nina slamming tequila.
Yeah.
It's just clever, but not overly verbose. Do you know what I mean? It's a simple arrangement for a simple song, but you know, in that case, simple is absolutely beautiful. I love Dear Friend.
Okay. Craig, any views on the live version of Dear Friend that's on here?
It's cracking. I mean, I love Dear Friend as a song. You know, it's one of my favorite songs on Internal Exile. You know, I think, like Stuart, as you get older, it means a bit more to you. And yeah.
And it's lovely when a song can grow with you like that it stays with you all these years, and you read something new into it, or you hear something new as you get older. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Mikey, Dear Friend, any views?
Same. I've always liked the song, and yeah, I think it ages like a fine wine, doesn't it? It stays with you, that song. I think there's definitely other songs on the album which don't play quite so well, like Favorite Stranger. I'm not a massive fan of. I
But
think
the Yin and
the-
Yang remake of Favorite Stranger is bloody brilliant.
Yeah, that's a much improvement. But I think all three of these live tracks are actually very well selected and very well played.
So
They're
yeah, there's
all
a
very
version. I
strong.
haven't listed the others. There's a version of Credo from Holland in December '91, and a version of Shadow Play from Hamburg in '91 as well.
Because these formats that you did for this were a bit strange, because you had the 7-inch, you had the 12-inch, and then you had two very, very strange and massively oversized CD single boxes, one
Right,
white with the penguin on the front and
Yeah.
one black with the fish logo.
Well, these is UK, so in Europe
Yes.
they had a different CD. But yeah, the two very strange. I mean, they must have. What an absolute nightmare they are to even ship them. So the white box comes with a massive poster of the penguin sleeve, doesn't it, Mikey?
Yeah.
And the black box has got some mocked up.
It's a fake tour laminate.
That's the words I'm looking for. Yeah, some mocked up toe laminate.
Yeah.
And then the CD is just in a jewel case without a sleeve.
Yeah. But I mean, the box is about 11 inches tall by about 6 inches.
5 inches.
Five
wide,
or 6
yeah.
inches
I think they're
wide.
roughly about the size of the American long
boxes.
Yes,
CD
yeah.
boxes.
They are. Good
Yeah.
point, Mikey. Yeah, yeah. Very strange decision, but yeah.
They still don't fit on your CD shelves, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. They don't.
But everybody was doing it. You know, it was let's find a newfangled way of repackaging a CD so that it sells more and stands out more on the shelves. But yeah, it's a bit of a misfire, I think, with this one. And it's a shame because the artwork for the single, the 12-inch looks amazing.
Yeah, with
Penguins.
the penguins
Absolutely
looking up.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean there's a European 5-inch CD with that sleeve, and it's got the three versions of Something in the Air and the Dear Friend live. So, but is that the 12-inch lineup? Is it?
The 12-inch lineup has Something in the Air Teddy Bear mix,
Yeah.
Something in the Air
Mix.
album mix, and Dear Friend live.
Right.
Dear Friend.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
three tracks on the 12-inch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I'm not sure. It's quite a striking cover, but it's not really some of Mark's best work, is it?
Penguins?
Well, yeah, penguins, yeah. Yeah.
Is that part? Do you think it was picked because of the old myth about penguins and falling over backward when things fly over?
I actually had a look at it on Mark's website, and it said the art was inspired by a documentary in which penguins followed a torchlight by their keeper when it was shone into their enclosure.
Well, there you go.
Not really sure how that ties into something in the air.
No.
Straight from Mark's own website, that's apparently what inspired the artwork.
Okay. Weirdly, we never asked him about that one, did we, Craig, when we chatted to him?
No. I mean,
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Either that or Fish might have been obsessed with penguin biscuits or something. Like just sneakily having a 6-pack of them to himself.
There's no video for this, is there?
No, there's no video for this.
No.
Which is a bit strange, but I think they couldn't have even they didn't want to spend any money, and also couldn't have cobbled together even like a live video because it hadn't really been played live. It wasn't.
I think they
played
spent
live
all the
until it
money
came
on the
out.
formats, didn't they?
Yeah. All the video money went on plastic boxes.
It did clearly, yeah. And no B-side, because this probably wasn't planned, really. I think is the sort of consensus that we're coming to. I think, isn't it? It was kind of a last ditch. Fish saying you've not backed the album, them chucking it out way later.
Yeah, I mean, this was the start of the disintegration of his relationship with Polydub, because they'd spent an absolute fortune in buying him out of the EMI, and spent a lot. Because I mean, Chris Kimsey came back for this album,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't say it wasn't like Vigil, where it was like no expense spared with orchestras and all the rest of it. You know, this was a little bit more low budget in comparison, but still spent money on it, and it just didn't. I think it was just too all over there, and with Internal Exile thing, I think it was a bit of a misfire. Whereas Polydor needed a bit more of a surefire hit, and then he went on to battle them to get songs from the Mirror to get out of the album deal.
Where have we heard that before?
More cunning plans afoot.
Yes, more cunning plans than Baldric. Anything else you want to say on Something in the Air, boys?
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Stuart's just exhaling again.
God love him, he tried.
He did. He had a go.
What you should do is get Still Marillion used to do a cover version of it, and we'll get Gray to come and do the bagpipes live with you as well. That'd be absolutely fantastic.
I tell you what, let's not.
Well, on that bombshell, all that remains to be said is thank you to our guest, Mikey Kay.
Well, if you're not going to let me do the charts.
Oh, I am. Sorry. I've cut him off in his prime, folks. He's going to give us the Cheeky Girls and all the other guff that was in the top 10 now. So what was in the top in the charts in the summer of 92?
Right. Well, his cunning plan got him to the highest position of 51 that week. It dropped to 61 and then out of the charts. It was the 12th highest new entry that week. Outside of the top 10, the highest new entry was Roy Orbison's I Drove All Night.
That's a tune.
At 10.
Well, Cyndi Lauper's I Drove All Night, isn't it? Yeah.
At 10 then, Diana Ross with One Shining Moment. At number 9, Take That with It Only Takes a Minute. At 8, George Michael, Too Funky.
Tune.
At 7, yeah, another tune. At 7, KWS with Please Don't Go.
Oh dear.
At 6, the other single I bought that week was Electronic with Disappointed. At number 5 is Utah Saints with Something Good. At number 4, Nick Berry with Heartbeat. I know. At number 3, Richard Marx with Hazard.
That's a tune. You don't remember Hazard? Oh man, that's a tune.
You don't remember Hazard.
That is a tune. That is a tune.
I probably would do if I heard it. At 2, Mariah Carey with I'll Be There. And at number 1, with their 4th out of a 5-week top number 1 run, was Erasure with the ABBA-esque EP.
Yes. Even I bought that.
So what date was this in the charts?
In June 92. Well, late June, early July.
Yeah, because looking at dates around about that, when we do the next chart on the singles, when we do the Marillion singles that were out around about that time. In May, Marillion had Sympathy out, and that got a number 17. And in August, the No One Can reissue got a number 26. So
are you preempting Mikey's role in the next podcast?
No. But it's just interesting to see.
Spoilers, listeners. Spoilers.
But there were Marillion singles around at the same time, and they were doing considerably better.
To have Marillion either side doing a lot better than Fish did, probably stuck in his craw somewhat.
Yeah. Fair point, Craig. I take it all back. So you've heard over the last 3 episodes what we think of Fish's singles from Internal Exile, and back in, he scrolls right up to the top, can't remember when it was.
26th of February.
Back in February, we asked you what you think of them, and lots of replies again. Thank you very much for those who've given their views. We're just going to go through a few of the highlights, and this is about all 3 singles. So, Craig, do you want to start?
Well, I think I'll start with the legend that is Martin Jakubski of This Parish. Credo is brilliant and should have been the lead single. Poet's Moon should have been on the album as it's way too good to have been a B-side. Releasing Internal Exile as a lead single was commercial suicide in my opinion. Much as I love the track, it was way too Scottish to have mainstream appeal and radio play. I can take or leave Something in the Air. It's alright but a bit meh. I've said before that I really love this album, but the choice of lead single and the album cover was commercial suicide and definitely put a lot of fans off, many for good. The US release from the US release front album cover was much better, despite not featuring any Mark Wilkinson artwork. Lucky or Just Good Friends would have made a good second single release had Credo been released first and made a dent. Yep.
There
As
we
is
go.
with Martin.
Yeah. Graham Tennick, our friend from Planet Music, just says this and points up to Martin's comment. Yeah. Hamish Mackenzie said, Credo is an absolute warhorse and Poet's Moon ain't a slouch either. Internal Exile is a great sing-along, whilst Carnival Man is suave, but perhaps out of step with the rest of the Internal Exile tracks musically. Something in the Air is fun, probably should have been its own thing, but it doesn't detract from the album as a whole.
Paul Macmillan, again of this very parish. Credo is, as others have already mentioned, a really strong song and a real live crowd pleaser. The B-side, Poet's Moon, I feel should have perhaps been saved as a single or for another album. Internal Exile, as a Scotsman, always stirs emotions, but it wasn't going to put him back on the map. Something in the Air, I think at this point, again, may have been a bit more for him than the audience. While it suited his voice, I don't think it was a strong choice as a single.
Okay. Chris Wright says, I can take or leave Something in the Air, but Credo is a classic. The B-side is arguably just as great too. It should have been on the album proper. And James Levy, friend of the pod, says, Credo is the best single from the album, a really good song, and Poet's Moon was one of his best B-sides. Actually, so was Carnival Man, and I can think of songs on the Internal Exile album that he should have replaced. Me too. Something in the Air? Nah, not for me, says James.
George Grieve. I did and still think Something in the Air is an abomination. I didn't buy the vinyl album of Internal Exile and only got it years later to fill the gap. Loads better without Something in the Air. Poet's Moon was a magnificent song. Internal Exile as a single was good, but it lacked something. I remember seeing it live at the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh. I was really excited about it, but the single lacked something pixie dust-esque. On saying all of that, the plastic penguin boxes are fab.
A fab, does he say?
Some fab, yeah. Somebody likes them.
Okay, right. David Beckwith says, in my opinion, Credo is one of the best, if not the best, single releases from his solo career, and is also up there with much of Fish's work with Marillion. I can't say the word Marillion on a Marillion podcast. How ridiculous is that? Love the box 12-inch and the artwork. Internal Exile is okay, and I think I know that we're smelling more than fish with Something in the Air.
James Cassidy. Something in the Air, but back to that one, was something for the completists. I didn't get the whole penguin thing. I loved Internal Exile, still do. I don't think it is overly Scottish in sound. You're kidding on you, although the lyrics certainly are. The Scottish sound worked very well in the UK charts for Big Country, Runrig and Simple Minds, so I don't see it as a reason not to go with it as a single. Carnival Man for me was forgettable, not one that I ever play. Credo was strong as well and a great live track, but I suppose the question is, was any of the music on the album really chart orientated? You might say Just Good Friends, which as the obligatory love song may be the strongest contender, but over the piece, I'd say none of the tracks were going to top singles charts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Don Becker said, I can't say enough good things about Credo or Internal Exile. From the cover art to the B-sides, they are two of the best singles Fish ever released, not counting the Fortunes of War B-sides. I think that people have had a different opinion of... It doesn't... So I missed a word out there.
It's Sunday morning, but we're up early, guys.
I think people might have had a different opinion of Something in the Air if Fish had held it back for Songs from the Mirror. God, what is wrong with me? On a covers
I'll
album...
give you a list.
Yeah, all right. On a postcard. Comments in the group, please. I think people might have had a different opinion of Something in the Air if Fish had held it back for Songs from the Mirror. On a covers album, it would have been a curiosity, but closing the Exile album and being picked for so many single releases looks like a mistake in hindsight.
Warren Breeze. Cradle is absolutely anthemic from start to finish. It rates as highly as anything that Fish released at any time during his career. It could work in a small club or a stadium. He's right there, definitely. It's up there with musical greats and a match for anything the likes of Queen ever did. I should add that Cradle video also stands the test of time, and I never tire of saying it. We did actually mention that as well in the pod. Whoever the director was, I say bravo, great work.
Yeah. Andy Bliss says, Internal Exile. Hated it at the time, love it now. Credo, pretty good, but not a favourite of mine. And Something in the Air, a bland cover of a bland song.
Ooh. Seamus Colgan off this very pod. I love Credo. For me, it's near perfect. Actually, it's the only Fish single that I bought back in the early days of his solo career.
Okay. Paul Gulliver, Credo should have been the lead single. I remember when I first ripped the CD to iTunes, I left off Something in the Air. Simply felt like a tacked on poor relative to the rest of the record. I don't think Internal Exile was the right choice as a single, let alone even the first release. Even though I love it, it's not a mass appeal or grab a new audience track. Just Good Friends would have made a great single, even the non-duet version. I also wonder if a shadow play edit would have worked. Such a strong song. Missed opportunities.
Oscar Smith. Apart from Something in the Air, all singles and B-sides are brilliant in my book. Port's Moon could have been a single, in my honest opinion. Something in the Air, good idea, poor in execution. I threw away the Penguins, which I regret now, to be honest.
Oh dear. Rick Gay says, I didn't pick up on Eternal Exile until 1998, so I was late to the party. I love all three tracks. I can't recall hearing them at the time. My first intro to these tracks was the Roadrunner remaster, but they sound even better on the remix box set.
Yeah. Roger Wagner. Credo is a cracking rock song. Internal Exile for me, slightly too folky, but live better with a punk rock feel towards the end. I always liked Something in the Air, especially for the bagpipes, which apart from Vigil at the time, I used to like even more.
Okay. Catherine Roig says, I did not buy any of the singles, but the album, and even though I felt like it was not as good as Vigil, I was quite fond of Shadow Play and Tongues at the time. Credo has its moments, feeling somewhat reminiscent of Slange, lyrics aside, which surely cannot be a bad thing. Yet what clearly annoys me about the song is the repetitive song structure. More often than not, Fish tends to stretch songs out, although there is nothing more to say. Well, musically, obviously, more than lyrically. Moreover, the last minute sounds awkwardly like White Feather to me. Internal Exile is a nice folky song, not suitable as a single. Again, too repetitive. The final part in a Pogues style section is fun. Something in the Air is just not listenable. Horrid, sorry. It warrants an Exile Fish. Wow, okay. David Burnett says, Something in the Air. Is that the Teddy Bear mix version? Yes, it is, David, yeah.
Yes, that's on the 12-inch and I'm on the CD singles. So there you go. And it's just okay.
It's all right. It's all right. Well, that's what you think of all the singles. Thanks very much if you've chipped in on the group. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Facebook and search for Planet Marzipan Podcast. We have lots of discussion in there. We try and keep it positive, although, you know, as you can see, Catherine's got some less than positive views on some of this stuff.
And it's funny this last week or so we've had possibly one of the biggest bumps in new members joining as well. It's random, isn't it?
Yeah, we had lots of comments. We are currently recording this bit on Sunday the 15th of March. There were lots of comments about the set list that the band played on Cruise to the Edge, which has brought extra members into the group. So welcome one and all.
And, it's not something I would have liked to have done, but one of these days, John, if he won the lottery, he'd be straight on cruise to the edge.
Well, based on the one time I've been on a ferry, I don't know if I would, but yeah,
It's a bit different crossing the channel and
I would hope so.
tarting it around Bermuda and places like that.
Yeah, but it's a lot of money to find out, isn't it? Yeah, no, I'd love to be on the cruise, but they're not on it next year, so
I
next
think
year's
they might
out,
have
isn't it?
something else planned. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 or 2 weekends possibly. Anyhow, thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe. Or maybe even leave a review, because that gets us in front of more people.
Yeah, so let's hand back to ourselves to say goodbye to the guys.
Where was I? Thank you very much, Mikey Kay.
Thanks very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate. Thank you to Stuart Clyde.
Great fun as always, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, mate. Catch him on tour with Still Marillion all year.
Cheers.
And thank you to my podcast better half, Craig Trevor Horn Houston.
Better half now, is it? What you after?
Just for this episode. Just for this one.
Okay.
All that remains to be said is good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
Oh, somebody do it for us.
Stay alive.
Yay! Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot for all the good stuff.